You're live when you're ready, Stephen.
He's here. Good evening, folks. We're going to start our meeting for the Parsonsville Planning Board for Wednesday, April 16th at 6:02 p.m. So the meeting is now officially called to order. You have to sign in. Thank you. So our first item of business after our call to order is correspondence received, which we have a list of that. This was just an email back and forth asking Aaron about the shoreline zoning questions. His response back. I have more to do there. He did not complete that. I do have a copy of what he did do that I'll forward to everybody. And that was in terms of getting us a third book with shoreline separate, so we had an easier reference for things that are overlapping.
Stephen.
Okay. Second correspondence, change of use application. Some minor edits. Has everybody on the board reviewed that? We currently do not have a change of use application in town. This would be, once approved, sent to the planning, to the select board. So if they want to assess a fee schedule for it. Anyone?
Looks good to me.
Yeah, looks good to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Harvey? We can put this on the agenda to vote on it for the next meeting then, if you guys are good.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Desiree, did you hear that? We'll add this change of use application to our next meeting's agenda for a vote.
Okay.
We have some correspondence regarding 46 Loon Point Road, which is the small plot plan that we have here. We have a larger copy up here if anyone needs to look at it. Which we will be hearing tonight.
Yeah.
And then we have an email from Keyser Falls attorney, or the attorney from Drummond and Woodson. If everyone saw that.
Yep.
That will go on record. And then we have another email from Tammy Snow, the attorney for 04047, another application we're going tonight, which is a rebuttal to the first email we got. We all got today, even though the applications have been here a couple weeks. Do you have a copy of that other correspondence item you want to pencil in? You want to do it later? Did you get?
This is fine. Yes, I have copies.
So for other correspondence submitted was the conditions that we had put on Reed Lane. Those have been met, I believe.
I have. This is the updated map that you asked for. You want a copy?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And amendment to the easement deed and a draft lease agreement. And then we have two copies, so you can take those ones.
Yeah.
And easement deed.
So that correspondence can be reviewed because we can sign off the plan if we feel it met the conditions. We can do that at the end of the evening. And that would complete correspondence if the board has no questions. Okay. And the review of minutes that we're not prepared yet, so that will be at the next meeting. Which completes item 3 on our agenda. Brings us to old business, which is the site plan review for Malia Wilson, 46 Loon Point Road, under map U12, lot 14, in the shoreland zone. And we had asked the applicant's representative to come back to us with some additional items.
Do you?
You guys have that stuff on you. You guys want- We'll pass this down to you too. This is just a larger copy of what we have.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's got all peaks and directions and setbacks,
Which we were looking for directions and some foliage.
topographical stuff, yeah. Cool.
I believe that's all there.
Yep. That's it for these guys.
Okay.
All of the board feels that this meets the requirements that we asked from the last meeting. We can take a motion to accept the site plan application as complete, schedule a site walk and public hearing. That should,
I'll make a motion to accept it as complete.
all in favor? Desiree, what's our calendar looking like for a site walk? Would anybody be opposed to May 18th at 1 PM?
I'm good.
Yeah, that's fine.
Desiree, that'll give you time to get everything posted. Do we want to make a motion for a 1 PM site walk on May 18th?
I'll make a motion for a site walk on May 18th.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
May 18th?
Yep.
1 PM.
I'll remember to come to this one.
You pick a time for that?
1
1
PM.
PM.
1 p.m.
Yep.
Yep. And then Desiree, do we want to schedule a public hearing for just prior to the next meeting?
Yep, 5:21 at 6 p.m.
21 at 6 PM? And then for the immediate meeting follows, so we need a motion on that as well.
Make a motion. We have a public hearing on May 20,
May 21st.
May 21st at 6 PM.
I'll second.
All in favor? Mr. Park, that wraps you up for tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome to sit with us for the rest of the evening, or you can run.
Take me with you.
Hey, buddy. Have fun. Yeah, too. See ya.
Yep.
You're welcome. Okay. So we're gonna get into new business, which I expect to be reminding everyone that we're all neighbors, we're all business people in town, and we're gonna do this nicely, without a lot of back and forth. And I think the best way to do that is that we go through these applications, the new form, because some of these applications were prior approved, some are new. We're gonna hear from the applicants, in my opinion, tonight, and we will save the contentious arguments for the public hearing. Unless the board has specific questions. And then when we get to open to public questions, we will not attack those applications again. Those will still go to the public hearing. So, conditional use permit for Silver Therapeutics, which is at for Joshua Ferranto, correct? Map U4, lot 003, 18 Federal Road, also known as the Stanley Building. It's an application for change of use for a commercial mixed use to adult use cannabis store.
Package number 15.
Is there an abutters list, gentlemen?
There is.
Just type separately.
Yeah, my name is Zach Brandwine. I'm the attorney for Silver Therapeutics here in Toronto. I'm happy to answer any questions the board has about the application.
Perfect.
I'm just happy to give you a little background about himself and about Silver Therapeutics. And the entire application's in your board packet. There's a narrative addressing the conditions, the criteria for the use application. There's the abutter list. There's evidence of right title and interest, and there's proof of OCP, conditional licensure. That's all in there, and I understand you're just reviewing tonight for completeness. If there's anything that you, as a board, think would be helpful in evaluating the application on the merits, certainly happy to supplement the application before public hearing. But I think it is complete, and we'd ask you.
Perfect. I just had a blank page, is the only reason why I was looking for that. I'm sure we'll have questions. The abutters list.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking for a scale drawing of the lot.
That should follow the abutters list. It's closer to the back of the application. There's a number of scaled drawings and
Yeah.
Perfect. So, on a butters list. Everyone's comfortable that we have the appropriate drawing?
Yep.
I've got a question. I can't tell from this. Did you get people from the other side of the river?
There's two in there.
Yep.
I found a second list.
Okay.
If you didn't find the second one, Jim.
Yeah, maybe this is
Yeah, I found it a second ago.
trying to keep up, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. Thank you.
Yeah. Put some paper in the mail. Is there a copy of the public notice and indication of posting in here?
There should be.
There's a lot of the butters to go through. That's probably mixed in with that.
Parking plan on this?
Gonna have to dig through.
See ya. Go on this one here.
Desiree, do you have a copy of the public notice for this?
So we don't have a public notice for this deal, we have this review of the agenda. A butters notices very after this meeting.
But it was properly advertised for this meeting in time. Our agenda went out appropriately. It's in the ordinance, so.
I think for a completeness review like this, right, it just has to be on the agenda. For the actual public hearing, that's when you have to post notice under the ordinance, newspaper and all that, 14 days before. So if, as we asked, that you determine the application is complete tonight, then you'd have at the public hearing, the public notice of all the butters that were advertised today.
Yep.
It's backwards from what we normally do with that.
Right.
It was nice not to have to do all the butters notices for this meeting.
There's a lot of them. So that's section 1. Is everyone on the board comfortable with section 1 being complete?
Yes.
Okay. Section 2 is the standards for conditional permit. Size of the proposed use compared with the surrounding areas.
And that's in our letter. package.
That's addressed in the letter. Hours of operation is also addressed.
Parking on that preview? Guess I didn't set up, so.
Yeah. Bear with us because this is a new application for us too, so we just want to make sure we're
I'll ask him something we're not allowed to.
Where does B. Hannaford, where does she come into
I'm
this?
sorry, can you speak up, please?
Who is B. Hansford?
Hansford?
That's my sister.
Pardon?
That's my sister.
That's your sister?
She owns the Stanley Building, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. I just curious.
She was at one of the last meetings.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple meetings ago, she was. Since it's applicable, we got-
Sheriff, if I clarify just one thing, this may help the board. The letter, the way the letter is structured, the sections of the letter track the ordinance itself. Your application like just divvies up the sections in the ordinance about conditional use standards a little bit differently than the actual ordinance does. And so the letter tracks with the ordinance rather than like what's listed out on the application.
Okay.
That might be a little easier to follow.
One more question. Is this the only business in that building?
As of now, yeah.
Is there plans for other businesses? Which portion of the building would you be using?
We're 18 Federal Bank Street.
Left or the right
Right,
side?
the right
Bank side or the?
The east side of the building.
The right side,
Right.
yeah, where the bank was.
At a round table, there's questions. Jim, you have questions?
Oh, it looks good to me. One question,
Yes.
parking.
Okay.
What's parking going to be done? I know you have a few spaces out front there, but
We're not even counting those. We have, on the side, there's a couple of spots on the property itself. And out back, we've got a designated agreement written up, 12 spaces just for solitary use.
so your parking's mainly going to be in back then, is what you're telling me?
For employees and so on, yeah.
Answer your question, Jim.
Yes, yeah.
Harvey, I have a question for you because you've been here longer than all of us. Sorry,
I hope so.
locally. Just a question about the corridor in general for all these businesses that are looking to go in here. What was traffic like on that corner when these businesses were open? Were there issues before? I guess like were people getting run over on the sidewalk? That's a very drastic approach, but
That determines that whole front sidewalk area, all the way up, right up to the Chalmers building, which negates one other application here.
Oh, boy.
Any time of the day, you can hear traffic going through there. And especially the big trucks, you know, at night, you hear them all night long.
I'm just very curious the impact of traffic with the number of new ventures approved and before us on that small space with that sharp corner right there. And municipal parking across the street, which even though these businesses all have parking, some people are going to park in the municipal parking lot and be crossing the street.
They definitely will, yeah. I mean, that's just human nature.
They'll look for the easiest access.
Sure. Pick up my mail and pick up something across the street, sure.
I'm not sure it's relevant to any application before. It's just something, Jen, for us to think of as a town. I don't know if we're going to need a crossing light there
It's possible.
because you have the bakery expanding, the potential for 2 new businesses there and other development as time goes on. The library's not far away. Post office, municipal parking.
Yeah.
I just get, at that corner, makes me a little nervous as well.
Good part is the sharp corner and they have to go a little slow.
I mean, that's
That's the only good
that's
part.
just, part of, happens when you grow, but I'm just something for us to think about. All right, Harvey, questions?
I've done a lot of thinking about it. I don't have a direct answer right now until we have a final vote aspect. I do have a very sad feeling to have the center of Parsonsfield with all this going on in it. That's I guess my personal feeling. As being here for 40 years, I picked this town because it was slow growing and you know, I always said if they ever put a red light in the middle of town, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there's so many things going on with that area between the mill and the actual physical aspect of Route 25. That down the road, this is going to have its own changes. I guess that's my own personal feeling.
Okay. Anything in the application?
The application looks complete to me.
So we have to do sidewalks and all that. Roger?
Complete.
Jen, can I yet again put you on the spot? Because you may not be able to answer this, but just as the select board. All right, when these guys go through their application process, are you going to ask them for a change of use application at some point?
Not in our licensing.
Okay. Just, I'm asking more on behalf of the applicants because that's going to trigger a whole new, like, they're going to need sprinkler systems and all kinds of things if they go through a change of use.
If I may, I don't want to open a whole can of worms.
That wasn't my intention either.
I don't know that that's like sort of the issue for your board tonight, right? It's the completeness of these applications. I'll leave it there. I think the issue is the completeness. I'll leave it there.
Perfect. Awesome. Again, it was a question to benefit all of you for future reference, but appreciate you can deal with that bridge when we cross it.
Hearing.
All right, so anyone want to make a motion?
I make a motion that the application is complete.
Second it?
All in favor? So we need to schedule a site walk.
We'll fill up our Saturday.
Um,
He says maybe not. Depends how many weddings you got.
Question, do we need a sidewalk? We've already been through one of these.
We haven't at that
This, we
location,
haven't gone to this one.
not for this application. May 17th and 18th.
Okay, so you already have the 18th at 1 PM.
Yep.
Yes, at Loop Point.
Mr. Chair, if I may be heard, I'm sorry.
Sure. Go ahead.
My-
Not yet.
I suppose it's always possible under sort of planning board's power to schedule a site walk for any type of application. I don't believe in your conditional use criteria that there is a requirement for a site walk. And so I don't know that we necessarily have an objection to having a site walk, but I also, I'm not sure that it's entirely proper under the ordinance.
Guys, what's your feeling?
Well, it's all new ground to us. Or is that? But I mean, everybody else has had the site.
My reason for saying sidewalk was just due diligence on the fact this building has been rather defunct for a while, just so that we know what we're up against in general, but
Right.
Mr. Chair, if I may, it's my understanding from my client that
can you tell us who you are?
excuse me, my name is Ben Plant. I'm the attorney representing the Mouse Brothers. It's my understanding from my client that the board did conduct a site walk at the property, at the Stanley Building property. Was that last year or towards the end of 2023?
End of, it was in 2023, when we went through our comprehensive site plan review.
My understanding is a lot of the same board members here were there for that site walk, so maybe this is one instance where it might be appropriate to waive that requirement if the board's comfortable with that.
And if I may add, I'm Tammy Snow, and the same thing happened, I represent Mr. Domsky.
Yeah.
And same thing happened, and it's not in the ordinance to have it, if, for change of use, a sidewalk is in the ordinance. It's not in the ordinance for conditional.
Correct.
It's already happened.
That's why I was asking if we're gonna hit change of use later, so we're not all back here for round 3.
Right.
I wasn't at the original site walk, and I feel like from the plans that we had at that site walk, they're slightly different. But if you guys want to forego that and move to public hearing,
The only issue I have is with parking, right? Like you said, it's on that contentious corner. And if you're gonna park around back, do you have to go upstairs then to come to the front of the building?
I think, if I may, I think the question that you're getting at, and the maybe
It's
the
about
desire.
safety, so I
Yeah,
want to make sure everything is safe.
absolutely, I hear you. And the desire for site walk go to the merits of these applications, right? They go to the substance of the applications. And if the purpose of tonight's meeting is to just review the applications, to determine whether the applicants have met all of the requirements in the ordinance to put information in front of you, I think what I've heard from the board is we've done that. And questions about parking are perfectly valid and important questions. I think they're probably questions that are best raised at the actual public hearing, where the public and the board and the applicants get to weigh in on and help you evaluate the merits and the substance of the applications.
okay.
And
We just want to have all the data ahead of time so we don't have some perfunctory, silly reason to reject it in the future.
yeah,
And this is our third rodeo or second rodeo with some of these, so I would hope you would want us just to be as complete as possible.
absolutely. And if what I'm hearing is there are concerns about parking, happy to supplement the application and address those concerns in advance of the public meeting in May, so that you all and the public all has sufficient information to make an informed decision. But I think if today's purpose is, or tonight's purpose is, have we addressed all the criteria in the ordinance? Is there an abutter list? Is there proof of conditional licensure from OCP, right title and interest, all of that? Then I think it's sort of a yes, no, is that stuff in the application or not? Not necessarily, is this information?
If you'd rather we move forward, we can. It doesn't mean we're not going to beat these things around at a public hearing.
No, and what I want to say too is I appreciate the
Let's
feedback.
go forward.
That sounds like a concern.
Yeah.
Happy to address that and supplement the application.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
like I said, my biggest desire is to make sure this process goes smoothly.
Right.
I'm not gonna make the motion if anybody would like to.
Well, the question is, at the public hearing, the subject doesn't come up. Have
Can't
we
answer.
done due diligence on our part?
Can ask questions at the public hearing as well.
Because sometimes they go astray in those public hearings.
Yep. One of the reasons why I'm doing a sidewalk is not to be a pain in anybody's butt, is that we have completed sidewalks on the other applications we have in front of us. So I'm trying to make sure that there's no reason for anyone to come forward later and to contest anybody's application, that we've covered all of our bases. But if you feel you want to listen to the applicant's attorney and forego the sidewalk, I'm fine with that. I think we're gonna have a lot of questions come from the public. I expect this public hearing to be a much bigger meeting than tonight, because it is a contentious matter.
But, well, three of us, I think, were in the building, but, prior to, we did go.
That's complete, like I said, I've left that up to you guys.
Make a
I just want to
motion.
give everybody the fair due diligence.
Yeah, I know.
Mr. Chair, we don't have an objection to a sidewalk. That's perfectly fine. If that helps you all be informed in your decision-making, I've got no objection to that. I just wanted to point out that it wasn't actually a requirement in the ordinance. But we're happy to attend a sidewalk with the board, allow you to see the property, answer questions at the sidewalk. That's perfectly fine with us.
That would be
So we're
awesome.
gonna go back to,
Make a motion for a sidewalk. On
Yeah,
the
if that's-
18th.
okay, does anybody want to second that motion from Roger? For a sidewalk?
What time you thinking? We already got one at 1.
What about 12? I'm assuming this is gonna be very brief.
Yeah.
Yeah, this should be brief, I would think.
At 12 p.m.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor for a site walk at 12 PM on Sunday, the 18th.
Second.
And all in favor of this site walk motion? So approved.
We pick a date on that, or
May 18th,
May 18th?
12 PM.
12 p.m., just before the other one. How do I do it with my pen?
And also, just so you guys know where we've done their site walks, so later if we move to not have a site walk at the other applications, I don't want you all to stand up and start objecting, because we're trying to cover all of our bases for all of your sakes.
Understood.
Guess I know where my pen went.
Yeah, I just broke it. Go for it. All right, so now we need a motion
For hearing.
for a hearing.
What's our next meeting? 16th?
21st.
21st? We already got one hearing at 6.
Immediately following.
Immediate, okay. I make a motion, we have a public hearing on May 26th? First.
Okay?
Immediate following the other hearing.
The only thing I would ask of the board is following the site walk and prior to, at least 24 hours prior to the public meeting on the 21st, that we be allowed to submit any supplemental information that the board feels it needs or was raised during the site walk, so that we can adequately inform the board about any of the issues, present or otherwise, that come up during the site walk.
There are deadlines for submissions, right?
So for new applications, it's 2 weeks prior.
Okay. Again, just making sure we don't have room for contesting anything later.
Generally, sidewalks are more just to
There are more observances.
than actually ask questions.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that as a no.
I'm not saying that. No, again, new application, new format. We don't want to get stuck in the rut of giving you our site walk outline like we normally do.
Definitely 24 hours prior would be better if there is any submissions rather than getting it the day of.
Correct.
Right.
I don't necessarily think that's something we need to vote on, so yes. And we would ask you to keep it within at least 24 hours, if not further back.
Understood and appreciate that. Thank you.
That's in all fairness to all parties.
Thank you.
All right, so,
Motion is on the floor.
yeah, well, there's a motion on the floor. We need a second.
Second the motion.
All in favor
what was,
For a hearing.
for the public hearing?
yeah, yes. Sorry,
So passed.
let me get all these dates down before.
Yeah.
Okay.
We appreciate the board's time tonight. Look forward to seeing you on Sunday on the 18th. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
All right. So I move around 52 times through this meeting. Now we're going in for a conditional use permit for Rejuvenate CC LLC, which is Trevor Sanborn, map UO2 004 at 140 Federal Street. It's also a change of use from medical cannabis facility to adult use cannabis store, adult use cannabis cultivation facility, tier 2, and adult use products manufacturing facility, so I can't talk today. And we also received one other piece of paper from that, which was a traffic impact study.
Oh, yeah, I'm good. Just play on that computer before we get some traffic.
Mr. Sanborn, you have your attorney with you? Do we have questions? Okay. Just so we know who's talking. I went through this once already.
Yeah,
I don't know who else has been through it.
I did. I did it for one.
And again, we have done a sidewalk already on this property, so that there's some questions to that.
We'll see it again. Cool.
But all this,
Yeah.
go through this one as well. Is everyone satisfied with the section 1 of location and use?
Well, this is something that I brought up, right? I think you can only ask for one permit at a time, the way I understand it. One use at a time. And you've got two uses on here, you're permitting for two uses.
Cross one off.
Our plan was, so it's all in the same building.
Right.
If we need to split it out, we're happy to remove cultivation tonight and just have you consider the retail store and we'll resubmit for cultivation.
Okay, does that make sense? Jen, you're the one that's gonna handle it. The select board would.
As far as I remember, our previous attorney said that it was more the letters of approval that went out that needed to be specified each conditional use separately.
That's where I thought it was one at a time, so I didn't want it to get like messed up somehow. Or come back and.
And the way, yeah, that's the way I took it, is that we can approve it, but we have to approve it separately, so that different letters go out to them.
Right.
Can be under the same application, but it's gonna need 2 letters of approval.
I get
Is that, that's how I took the ordinance when I read
I
it.
think when an opportunity
Yeah.
to clarify that. That's what our previous attorney had said, that each letter of approval was specific to a conditional use.
And that's the conversation I had with the previous town attorney, was the same thing, that we could accept the application with the multiple uses, but we have to issue separate letters of approval.
Do they require separate permits though?
For our part, they require separate licenses from us.
Okay, and that's what I didn't know, separate permits would not, I didn't want that to get,
Way late, yeah.
yeah.
No, I agree,
Yeah.
100%. I'm sorry, I saw your email, I thought I responded back to that, or maybe I never sent it.
You did, you said you're gonna look into it,
Yeah, I read it.
probably.
And then I didn't respond to you. Yeah, I did, no. From what I took, from what I read, and from what the answers I got, that the application was fine, it doesn't need a separate.
Right, so we're going forward with
Oh,
application. Okay, that's fine.
So I was fine with section 1, is anyone else not? In terms of completeness? And section 2. I know, before anybody else brings it up, that in the past, somebody has made an issue with this particular location about odor, but we also discussed additional odor mitigation was in the process of being
Right.
used.
Yep.
So are you guys satisfied with that?
I am. Gonna get a couple more scrubbers or
I
something.
got a question there. It is actually much better. What are you doing?
Put the scrubbers
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, it's much better, so that's nice.
in, and it's still a little bit, we gotta go a little more, it's just, it's expensive and
Yeah,
so much at a time, but I'll get it there.
yeah, no, it's much better. I appreciate the effort.
Thanks.
Even our former member mentioned that it was much better.
Nice.
And he lives next door.
So are folks on the board satisfied with section 2? And thank you. I read that before I got here, but I appreciate it. It's a copy of our bylaws about sidewalks, which are encouraged on all applications before the board of any type. Section 3, municipal effect. Again, I don't see.
It was already a
much
commercial
change.
business. It's
It's
actually
been a
less
commercial
than,
business.
it's already less than what it was
Right.
years ago.
I don't think it's gonna have a high impact compared to what it was with the car dealership.
No.
But again, is everyone else comfortable with section 3 versus in the application? It's not in a shoreline area. And we're not at a point where we would review conditions of approval. This is conditions of completeness.
That's it.
So if anyone has a motion or question, this is the time. Do you have any questions?
Not at all.
Harvey, do you have any questions about this particular application?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Jim,
Oh, looks good.
do you folks say anything? Are you good? Okay. Then we would need a motion to approve. This is complete
Make a motion,
or accept it as complete.
accept this application is complete.
And a second.
I'll second.
Second by Jim, all in favor? Application is deemed complete. Site walk is not necessary. Before I get myself, I do not believe, because we've already done a site walk of this facility.
Right.
I agree.
We can come over and visit.
So we need a motion to forego a site walk as one has already been done.
Make a motion to do away with the site walk because we've already done one.
And I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Now we need a motion for a public hearing.
Again, immediately following the. Yep.
On the 21st. I make a motion, we have a public hearing for this matter, following the other two public hearings on May
Okay.
21st.
Excellent. And a second.
Second.
All in favor? We're gonna have a night of hearings. We're gonna watch what else we put on the agenda, right?
We're gonna bring a hearing aid.
They don't seem to do much good.
I guess not.
So,
Yeah, so we're gonna have to
we're gonna have to get like a time clock, you know, start it every time.
keep some order to it. That's my goal.
So the meeting starts at 6, so we'll do the Wilson, so the Loon Point that was here first, we'll do them. We'll do Cerebral Therapeutics, and then we'll do you guys, so.
Great.
Meeting starts at 6, and hopefully it'll be it.
Well, in our bylaws, we can limit comments to a certain amount of time, which I try not to do because I want people to be able to say what they have, but we're going to have to do that night in order to get everybody in the correct time frame so that we don't run into having to reschedule someone. So Desiree, you got that on the calendar?
Yep. Right there.
Okay, so our next application is,
Yes, you're all set. Yeah, they voted all in favor.
Thanks.
So,
of the application as a whole.
Sorry, you missed that, yeah.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys. Thank you. This next application is for 04047 LLC. And their tax map are 24 Federal Street, Parsonsfield, Maine, which people refer to as the Chinese restaurant. Tax map U04 lot 005. And again, we have done a site walk on this facility already. We just need to review. I went through this yesterday.
May I point out that this is only for a retail store? The agenda showed cultivation.
Correct. We saw the
Okay.
the withdrawal for the cultivation at that point. Thank you.
People butters.
This office is going to be busy.
Couple roll of stamps to send letters to people.
I think everyone in town is gonna get it.
Yeah. They're gonna get sick of getting these second letters for different things.
Send them as Christmas cards,
Yeah, there you go.
feel special.
Thank you for reading that.
Is everyone comfortable that section 1 is complete? And is everyone on the board comfortable that section 2, all the matters were addressed and met?
I think hubby's still catching up.
Do you have any idea what's gonna happen to the bakery? They're gonna shut it down, but, you know, that building will be there. Do you know what use that will be?
I don't know.
Idea?
I don't think anybody knows yet. Still
The only question I would have is, there is a one-room apartment there.
More of a.
I don't know how that works in conjunction with this. It's okay to have more than one,
I think that we're not doing our traditional application, and that puts that in the hands of the code enforcement, not us.
Right, and in order to get an application through the select board, they have to get a permit from the fire marshal, so he'll take care of that.
Yeah.
We don't have to deal with it, the fire marshal will.
okay.
And nothing in the ordinance prohibits there being residential
Exactly.
unit in the building.
Correct.
And the fire marshal has already been moved in.
Okay, great.
I'm comfortable with that section if you guys are.
Yep.
Section 3, I think my question about traffic on the corner and everything else
It's always been retail.
was part of section 3. We've already discussed that for general.
Look at that.
You guys comfortable with section 3?
Yeah, still, again, like you say, it's still the traffic thing, because the bakery is leaving, so we have no idea what's going in there. So you've got 5 parking places. I don't know what kind of business that they'll put in next, if anything.
Right.
So I mean, that site there might become much busier, so I think we have to,
Yeah, and that may affect the next business that goes into the bakery location.
Right.
But we do have 9 parking spots, 5 out front and 4 behind the bakery.
okay. So those parking places will be explicit for you guys, right?
They already are, but they're using them.
Okay,
Yeah, the 4 are actually on the bakery's property, but you have,
It's all one lot, but essentially the bakery's operating, so they park 1 car behind 4 spots that are behind the bakery. But the bakery has parking in front of the bakery and on the side.
yeah, all right, that's fine. Just want to make sure that it's explicit to you guys when people come, they
Yeah,
know they're
it
not.
shouldn't affect anybody in the future, but if anything, I can't control what business comes into the bakery next. But if it is a high demand business for parking, I don't know what could happen for now.
Yeah.
But I know that the spots are dedicated per my landlord.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure you can get like reserved for whatever. Okay,
And if one of the spaces is allotted to the renter, that leaves 4. They really should have 2 lots in case he has company, but
yeah, that's up to him.
wait and see how it flows, I guess.
I think no matter what goes in this area, we're gonna municipally have to address that area for traffic at some point.
Yeah, it's gonna be busy.
That's not these particular applicants' issue,
Right.
but I think it's good that we're thinking of it.
Safety.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have a responsibility. They put a business there. I think,
We need to put a crossing there. Another,
or at least cooperate with the town in every manner they can.
or a crossing light, rather. My fear is that people barrel around that corner.
well, it'll probably be the same thing as with Silver Therapeutics. The concern there, they're gonna park in the municipal lot across the street.
Yeah,
I
that's,
I think we're just repeating the same things we had from the previous applicant. I don't think it's specific to this particular application. And then whenever something goes in the bakery, if and when, we're gonna have the same question for them.
They'll be in front of us for something, change of use probably.
Yeah.
that's all. All right, thank you.
So everyone's satisfied with section 3 being addressed?
Yep.
And section 4 was addressed? And section 5 is held for?
There's one here with disposal of wastewater. When we did our site walk, there was that illegal sink down in the basement.
Yeah, we actually don't have a lot of knowledge about that. I was hoping the landlord would be here because I don't have occupancy of the building yet, so I am not going out and flushing everything and checking everything. I don't know about the sink.
Right.
But as far as wastewater goes from any bathroom, that goes out the other side of the building, so there should be a septic design in there. As far as an illegal sink, I don't know. I really don't know.
So was this a sink that just hadn't been approved, that doesn't meet the code?
It doesn't meet the code. It has a drain that goes out to God knows where.
Okay, so potentially could take the sink out,
Yeah, so that would just.
That's what we would need.
Yes.
Make a condition to have that sink
have the sink cap,
Right,
taken out and the sewer.
cap, yeah.
or replumbed.
And Jesse, you had a discussion with the landlord at that site walk about some things you feel comfortable with?
On the stuff that was, I guess,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, may I be allowed to address this issue? And I think the board's overarching discussion of the completeness of this application. I will keep my comments very, very brief.
No, we're only going to hear from the applicants tonight, like we said at the very beginning of the meeting, so I'm not holding you out. You can wait and if you like for the public hearing.
Well, I mean, I think my client's concern is that the lack of detail in this application won't enable my client to be able to adequately participate at the public hearing. And the argument that we have presented to the board in the letter that I provided to the board today is that it's inappropriate to schedule this public hearing until the planning board and the public has an application before it that actually describes the size and the scope and the operations of what the applicant is actually proposing. And based on what the board has.
So you're going to go ahead anyway? Because I did say no.
I'll leave it at that. I
Okay.
just did want to address it.
I addressed that at the very beginning. We saw your last minute letter. We saw your response to it. That's what our public hearing is for. But I did see you and read your letter and took it seriously. But if I say no to one person, I have to say no to everyone. You guys have questions for the applicant? Does everyone feel that this has met completeness?
Complete? He's sleeping.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Can I get a motion?
Can't shake my head loud enough, I guess.
Yeah.
No. Does anybody want to make a motion to accept the application as complete?
Complete.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay. Can we schedule a public hearing?
Do you want to address the sidewalk?
We, at the beginning, I said the same thing. I don't think we need to do a sidewalk at this facility because we did one. So we should have a motion that we're gonna not have a sidewalk. Sorry, Desiree.
We won't have
A lot of motions.
because we already conducted one.
Second it?
Thank you. All in favor?
No, motion for a hearing.
Motion for public hearing.
Motion for a public hearing, the 21st, following the other three public hearings.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor? I apologize, been a lot of motions tonight. Okay. So all of those are scheduled. Desiree, you've got those for advertising.
Published so that it's.
Thank you.
I have a question about the public hearing.
Yeah.
There's a lot packed into this.
Great.
Should we have it run over or? Well, maybe we should wait.
I would have to.
This could get very,
Dicey.
I have a similar question because so far we're last and there, a lot of people are going to show up.
Yep.
You know that there's going to be a lot of discussion. And if you can't hear new business after 9 o'clock, what happens?
That has to be continued. We can call a special meeting if we need to.
Okay, and my concern is, because as we know, there's competition for licenses.
Unfortunately, we do not know how the licensing will be decided.
Well, I know, but if we get put off,
That's my statement.
someone is.
To the best of my knowledge, we have no knowledge of how the select board, I can't speak for how the select board is going to accept licenses that are within a certain area of each other, if they're basing it on who put their application in first, if they're basing it on, we don't know.
Okay,
Um,
something to think about.
And I think that I can't keep asking Jen to speak for the entire board. That's gonna be something they have to,
According to the facility licensing ordinance, they're reviewed in the order that they're received.
okay. I don't want to put the select board on trial by asking them one member of a 3-member board
That's
to
fair.
answer all those questions. I think that will shake out in the run of things, unfortunately. We do intend to run the meetings very strictly according to our bylaws with limited comment time. We will have a timer. We will not be allowing non-residents to speak. We're going to do it very efficiently. So we hope to conquer.
No repetitive.
We expect to be here right till 9 o'clock.
No
I would say.
repetitiveness.
Yeah, we're not going to,
Some of the non-residents will be from Porter, so.
or not abutting residents, but, we can,
If there are butters, I guess it would be all right.
yeah, if they're in a butter, they can speak.
But I don't-
And I'm going to have Desiree email everybody a copy of the bylaws again, so everybody can review them before the meetings. Some things that were not contested, but brought up today are in our bylaws that we can and cannot do, that we can do. So that way we're ready for the meetings, because again, some of these applications, it's not our first rodeo with them, and we want everything to be efficient and fair. We are just a stopgap. We're not the ones that are going to make the final decision.
That was my other question. What does the select board want from us?
I believe that this application was what they needed from us. And that then once we approve these applications at the next meeting, in our normal process, we're out of the loop. It has nothing to do with us.
Do we get to evaluate it and then add to the select?
I think that's
No?
what,
We just make the approval and they make the
yeah,
decision.
once we make
Yeah.
the approval. So we're 50% of the way to the
Yeah.
finish line. The rest will be public hearing and then voting to approve or to not approve. And then it moves on to the select board. And then again, I think they're again another stopgap because then it goes on to the state. If I'm following that
In
correctly.
your conditional use application, you have the ability to approve with conditions, right?
We can set a conditions. Yep. Harvey, I wish it was an easier answer.
Okay.
And I don't know if the select board has the ability to waive and allow 2 businesses. Could they go before the appeals board? Could they go before the ZBA to have 2 businesses within 750 feet of each other?
Can who go before the
Applicants.
applicants? I think that was already attempted.
That meeting got
That was
canceled.
a whole different, right?
It's a whole different one.
It's an ordinance now. If the town approved this ordinance, I think you'd have to resubmit the whole ordinance. Like, have to go through all that.
I mean, those are just questions in the air to answer for the people that are on opposite sides of the fence, unfortunately. But I think that nails down that portion. So then we have any old business? What did I miss?
Thank you, guys.
Take care, Chris.
Proposed change of use application. Do you guys want to vote on that tonight?
Yeah,
It's kind of our course of business. Do we have a motion to accept that application?
I'll make a motion to accept the change of use application.
And do I have a second?
I second it.
All in favor? So that can be sent to the select board, Desiree, for them to assess fees. Thank you.
Yep.
And thank you, Desiree.
Boom.
Do we need to touch on land use ordinances, the comprehensive plan?
So that was there to determine printed copies
Of the comp plan?
of the comp plan. So as of right now, I don't have a printed copy. I searched the document.
We were gonna check to see whose budget would cover the printing, right?
So that's what we needed to do, but we needed to know how many copies of the land use, the comp plan, and the subdivision ordinance you should have, because that one we haven't touched yet.
Yeah.
But specifically the comp plan and the land use ordinance, how many copies we needed
For printed copies.
for printed copies.
Should we
I have all of mine.
off on the land use until we get that shoreline taken out?
I would. I have copies of everything printed now. I don't know if anybody needs a copy. I have my books too, and I have an electronic copy if somebody needs an additional one. Thank you, gentlemen.
So the other thing about getting printed copies was so that you could go through the land use while you were determining how
The matches
aligns with the comp.
comp plan.
So that was, I understand printing the land use ordinance right now and then making a bunch of changes to it, it's defeating the purpose of having a printed one, but I know some people like to see side by side instead of screen page, or.
Yeah.
So if I could just get a number to send to the office so that we can figure out how many.
So why don't we say 6 for our workshops purposes? That covers our alternates and all the board members to have have the copies that they can mark up versus the copies we're using regularly. Thank you both. And then, thank you very much.
Night, everyone.
Thank you.
I do think we should schedule a workshop for May 7th.
Like, we're just have a budget, but supposedly if you're still.
Make a motion, we have a workshop.
Do we have a
on May
topic we want to talk about for this workshop? I should put that forward.
Let's have coffee and donut.
I just, May 7th is fine.
Okay, what's our
Whether we should-
agenda going to be on there?
Whether we should have the
So,
hearing start at 5 instead.
I don't know if we can change the public hearings now that we've already voted on. And all the applicants have left, so we can't. They're all at 6. Unfortunately, you're not wrong. I thought about that halfway through, but we'd already approved 2. And if we moved the other ones that approved afterwards to earlier, that would have caused more of a dismay.
reached out to the new attorney and he is willing to Zoom on.
The workshop date, perfect.
So he wanted to know if it was just gonna be a meet and greet or if you had like more questions and stuff for him. And if you do, if I could get those ahead of time so he can.
So I think
On the spot.
it would be fair to say that we probably have some questions we want to ask the attorney.
Yeah.
So I think everyone should write those questions up and send them to Desiree so he's prepared, so it won't be a long process and we're not paying him just to answer, and we're not repeating ourselves, if you guys think that's fair. So that's maybe the purpose, maybe that's the agenda for our workshop, is the attorney meet and greet.
And I'll leave like ordinances and process and procedure on there just so you have, if something comes from the talk with him, it's on there, and you can kind of segue right into it.
Okay.
Okay?
So can I have a motion again for a workshop to meet with, to do a Zoom meeting with the town attorney on May 7th?
Make a motion to have a workshop, to have a Zoom meeting with our new attorney.
And can I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? So that is scheduled. Public questions, they're all mad, so they left.
Christ.
So again, we have Roger's site plans.
Right.
We have 3 of the 4,
On that, didn't we just say May 7th for the workshop?
we did, yes.
But you said that he would be willing to Zoom on May 8th? May 7th,
May 7th.
okay.
If I said it, that's not what I meant. Everything has been receptive.
Okay.
So we do have Roger's plans and we have 3 of the 4 because I think we only.
We moved Paul up as well.
So did we move Paul and John?
I believe we did.
We did.
So you have 4 of the 5 members who voted on Roger's plans here tonight. This is one of the requirements that you did ask for is final. Registry of Deeds. Is that something you would like to sign tonight?
That without Paul, correct?
Yes. Or additional.
I think we should sign it.
Hey,
There are 2 copies.
I'm off speaker now. I don't have any more
There are 2
time.
copies, so if, Stephen, if you could sign and just write chair after yours, please.
You want us to sign in a particular order? Sure.
I would start with you and then from there, doesn't matter.
nice job washing your truck.
I haven't washed it,
Did you run it through a snowstorm?
just rain.
If you guys are willing to take, some money, that would be, but I'll put.
Who's the voting member?
Yep, everybody was. Sign both copies.
Yes, please.
I'll take it back, John.
There was some-
Oh, yeah, you don't sign it. You're running.
I don't know.
You want me to sign it?
You put the 16th,
I did get a copy of that.
put the
We
date.
will. Desiree will do. Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Because I was looking at my calendar, which is May.
Guess I gotta put the date there too. All right, use your pen.
It's just one date on the top.
Yeah, and definitely, don't worry, like,
Huh, you're not supposed to spell my name.
Well, let's,
I'm kidding.
well, I
Bob,
want you to
did
get
it right.
blamed for it if it's not right.
Good copy.
You know what happens?
He's a
Right.
pen.
No,
Everybody's using the shop, you know.
French, I can move things around.
Oh, no. So I always tell my mother that you can speak.
Looking especially for a chest.
how many of these we gotta sign?
And John.
I'm gonna start right here with Jim and work my way back.
What are you looking for?
Oh, under here. I think Desiree needs this one.
Right there, huh?
We already filled that slot.
Oh, we got both Sharpies over there.
It's a Desiree, I don't know, how many? Signatures on it?
and that's.
You need to sign that one, or is that one? No.
My copy.
Binder can be given to the next.
Does it work?
This is one going down. Oh, that's the one, okay, which one's?
Right.
Alright. This one's
Let me
on.
know. Okay.
I think they.
So this was actually.
$10.
Oh, wait, is this one yours?
I don't know, it works sometimes.
Pens? Yeah.
So Desiree, I have some questions
Registry copy right here.
Sure,
that I'm not gonna bring up right now because applicants have left.
yeah,
That I think we need to ask the attorney.
okay,
Should I email them to you and then let you put them out there?
yeah,
And I'll CC the board. It has to do with deed
yeah,
approvals and.
yeah, I would say,
Should we, this is very specific, so should we ask the attorney prior to this, or, because it's not really a generic question, it's very specific. So I don't know if it's a subject for the workshop, because we can't workshop applications.
yeah,
You see what I'm saying? So I have a question
Yeah.
regarding one of the applicant's needs.
right, and I know what, yeah, I would say generic question.
Okay.
If you can, that, you know,
Can I tell you to email the attorney, or should
yeah, just email it to me, so, yeah, everybody send me what they want, and then I'll put it on one list to send to him, rather than sending him a bunch of emails.
Yeah, this is a question though I want answered separate from the workshop.
Okay, yes.
Because we can't workshop a specific application, but it regards a specific application.
Okay, yeah, so you're gonna send me 2 emails,
Yep, I'm gonna send you my questions I think we should ask the attorney in general.
right?
And then I'm gonna send you a specific question I think we need to have answered for the board prior to the next meeting.
Yes. So I will send them separately.
And I could be completely wrong, but I just, again, don't want these guys in front of us again if I can avoid it, so. Just something that popped into my head, unfortunately. That I don't think anybody can answer except the attorney. All right, so then the last thing on our agenda is if you guys wanna go home. So then we would need a motion for that. Oh, public comments, I'm sorry, John.
Yeah, did you have Ben prior to his leaving, or Cam, the new attorney, look at the conditional use application?
We hadn't written it before. We just brought it the night that we learned that Ben was no longer with us.
Okay,
And I haven't met Cam yet.
and you what?
I haven't had any interaction with Cam yet, so no.
Oh, okay. Maybe something to.
I know when we send applications to the MMA, they would advise us on them.
They advise, but I don't think that they have the ability to act.
They wouldn't advise on the application, they advise on the other questions surrounding the application.
Right. They wouldn't advise on the actual document. I don't know if that would be different for the town attorney.
Maybe take a look at it. The other concern is that
Keep the walk
representing
as
the
a-
town, the last time there was a public hearing with some of these applicants,
In
had
fairness,
residents here who left. because it did go on for so long. And they just felt very, and they, you know, I've heard from them, they were very disappointed not to speak, but they felt that the meeting, they just didn't have time. So I'm just concerned about the public hearings and having those who want to voice an opinion.
Yeah.
So a couple things I would say off the bat is I think we should hold this next meeting in the gym, not in this room. You guys are all in favor of that?
Yep.
And is that okay to make that happen, Jen? So Desiree, we'll hold our next meeting in the gym.
I was already planning.
And I think we should set a projected timeline for each. I mean, we may run over, but maybe we say, and maybe we can't do that, but I say our first public hearing for Sand Parks goes from 6 to 6:30. And from 6:30 to 7, we hear the application for the Stanley Building. And from 7 to 7:30, we're gonna hear the application from Sanborn. And then from 7:30 to 8 or whatever, we're gonna hear the next application. That also tries to get us to get public comments within that time frame. It gives those people a rough idea, and if we end early, we'll take a break until we get to that next time frame. So if these people wanna come later, they're not here all night. Does that help?
I think so.
So it means, you know, I understand that they're still maybe out later than they wanna be, but at least if they know, okay, I don't have to be there at 6:30. Cause my objection is to Federal Road, to Trevor Sanborn, so I'm coming at 7 when they're hearing him. And with the understanding that, you know, we're gonna do our best to make it happen, and I do think we need to have a timer, and we need to have someone in charge of that time, they can motion to us, we can do it. And that's,
This is not it.
oh, I thought you just
This is not
selected.
it.
I'll ring the bell.
So at the end of, I think 4 minutes is our bylaw,
4 minutes.
your comments are over.
And I think that you're gonna get a lot of people wanting to speak at times. And you're gonna have to curtail that and everybody needs to hear everybody and everything is valid.
The same person has to speak one time, and they can't speak they can't go again later. We're gonna talk about the one thing. And that's so that we can be fair to all the residents. It's not that we're trying to censor anyone, because that's gonna be the next thing that they say.
Yeah, all the concerns are valid, we're just trying to make sure that everybody is heard, not one person.
And some questions we may answer during correspondence, but we won't hear correspondence until after that, so.
No, but
I'm not even sure we'll get to correspondence then.
It might not be that bad.
I agree, but then part of my thought process halfway through that thing is maybe we put 2 of the applicants on a different night, but then because there's questions regarding approval
Time.
times and so on, I could see that becoming a big to do.
Favoritism, this and that.
First one we had was,
What happens if you have another site plan review application come in for that meeting?
Maybe we advise them that most likely they won't be heard. But we'll do our best, but we can't hear new business after a certain time. Are we required to hear it, or can we postpone
It'll
it?
be new business.
right,
So-
if it's submitted in time, it needs to be on the agenda.
So we'll put it on the agenda, but we may let them know that, you know,
It may be.
we only have 3 hours to get through 4 applications.
Yeah.
So my concern, and you can tell me I'm wrong here. So for conditional use permits, they need to be advertised. The public hearing needs to be advertised 10 days in advance in a local newspaper and posted in other places for public notice. So let's say we get through all 4 public hearings.
Yep.
Okay, so we're great there. It's 9 o'clock. We're not gonna, let's say we got new business, whatever, we're not gonna go into old business to discuss approving or denying the applications. So at that point, the public hearing's been advertised, public hearings are over. At that point, you're able to call your special meeting and you can have a meeting, let's say the next week. Not that I really wanna do that, but you could call a special meeting.
Yep.
To discuss the old business if you wanted to, not saying you have to.
So here's the other devil's advocate, not that I want to spend the night here, but it's no longer new business, so we could hear it after 9 o'clock. I don't think any of these applicants are gonna wanna walk away that night without us giving them an answer.
Right. So no agenda item will be taken up after 9.
So it's no,
That's what it says. So if you're in the middle of one application in old business, you can complete that after 9, but then you can't move into the next agenda item.
So maybe at the next meeting, we automatically call a special meeting at the very beginning. We can always cancel it. Can we call a special meeting tonight so that we have time to advertise it?
Let me look.
In case of
In case.
overage or,
I'm hoping it doesn't go that far, but they're very zealous, in which I'm sure people thought I was trying to be rude when I shut him down, but I was trying to stay on the thing that we're not gonna hear the applicants tonight. Because if we don't do that the next meeting, we were never gonna get through the first application.
So let me read special meetings, just so we have it all clear. So a special meeting can be called by the chairperson, or when requested to do so in writing by committee members of the board or by the municipal officers. Written notice of such meeting shall be served digitally, in person, or left at the residence of each member of the board at least 48 hours before the time of holding said meeting, unless all members of the board sign waivers of said notice. The call for said meeting shall set forth the matters to be acted upon at said meeting, and nothing else shall be considered at such special meeting. In accordance with the law, the press, select persons, and code enforcement officers shall be notified of any special meetings in the same manner as the board members.
So if we call a special meeting tonight with the sole purpose of finalizing the 4 public hearings and applications dealt with this evening, then that gives you time to advertise it and maybe canceled if unnecessary.
So,
Am I making that too complicated?
nope, I'd rather discuss it with you now than to try to figure it out later. So for the advertisement for the public hearings, all the public hearings will be on May 21st.
Yep.
For the purposes of a special meeting, should it be on the same advertisement that some sort of wording of if these,
run over.
well, the public hearings will be heard on May 21st. If the meeting runs past 9 p.m., everything will be addressed at the special meeting on X day at X time.
I think we should say due to planning board bylaws limiting discussions after 9 p.m. If time does not allow for the finalization of the 4 applications being heard at that special meeting that evening, then the applications, I'm not sure it's making any sense anyway.
No, it is.
What about just having something at the end, if this runs over, you can have a submittal on the table, questions or instructions that they'd like to propose, sent to the selectmen or to the select board. Like letters, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that was gonna be my next question after we get this wording out, is maybe the planning board encourages questions submitted in advance, they may be addressed for a timely meeting. Can we even put that in the public notice? Because I don't want to, again, I don't want people to say we're censoring them.
It's always in there of, for any questions, contact the secretary. So the other thing is, what's the timeline of approval after the public hearing?
45 days.
So,
My concern is the longer we go, some of these people are gonna say that we're stonewalling them.
right, I'm just, going by the ordinance for a site plan, it's 30 days after a public hearing, 30 days after a public hearing. Yeah, within 30 days of the public hearing, a decision is supposed to be made, so that gives you an extra meeting. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not finding a timeline on after the public hearing when how long you have to make a decision. So,
When's the town meeting?
My personal thought is that we would
That was
just,
April 20-something, it's right up there.
Desiree, my personal thought is that we would just go it on the 28th.
this is because I was just thinking if there's no timeline, then you just push it out to the June meeting.
What upset people?
I think a lot of people will be angry, and I don't want any more litigation from the town from
This is
applicants.
the second time around, it waited quite a while.
I'm just going off what I see in the ordinance, there's no,
Right, exactly.
I just don't want to have, one of the reasons why I say we go to the 28th versus waiting a month is that so it's still fresh in our minds with the people we're talking about at the public meeting the prior week.
right, I'm just,
What do you guys think?
So you're no longer talking about extending the regular meeting?
We can't extend it past 9 p.m.
We can't. Okay.
Within our bylaws. So what we can do is put a provisional meeting in place in case we don't finish by 9, so that they know that all the decisions will be held the following meeting. And if any of the public hearing doesn't complete, which is not my goal on any level. I mean, we've got 4 applications to go through, so that gives us 180 minutes. So each applicant, technically, if we can keep each applicant down to 45 minutes.
I think, so we wouldn't make our final decision till the 28th.
In case we ran out of time to vote, because we can't vote after 9 p.m., then we could make our decisions on the 28th.
For all 4. Yeah, that makes sense.
And that would allow
That would make it,
maybe we should put any business not completed on the 21st will be completed at a special meeting on the 28th in case someone submits a new application we can't hear.
Right.
And can we hear old business before new business?
That's always how it's scheduled.
Oh, it is, okay.
You're asking new business before old business.
I was just trying to think any way we could speed the meeting up. But you're right,
So it's always
old and then new.
public hearing, correspondence, whatever, old then new. So you had originally said due to planning board bylaws, do you want to leave that out, or do you want to,
I think we should make the public aware that we're not just deciding we're gonna have a second meeting for the hell of it, it's because we absolutely have to, we can't.
so due to planning board bylaws and time allotment concerns, if time does not allow for the completion of the public hearings or follow-up discussion
By 9 p.m.
by 9 p.m.
Special meeting of continuance will be held on the 28th.
Special meeting. We will continue.
When you're talking about a vote, though, and then we have the town meeting after that. Who makes the final decision? We're not voting on it on the town meeting.
So the town meeting doesn't play into any of the cannabis applications at this point, I don't believe.
Applications.
Yeah.
It is going to be brought up, is that not correct?
I'm sorry, Margaret, I'm not
Which-
following what you're saying.
Well, the town meeting is separate from our public hearing.
Correct.
The town meeting,
Talking to planning board meeting or town meeting?
No, the town meeting,
the annual town meeting,
no, it's the one that you have,
The special.
the
Fine.
special town meeting
Special
is
town
gonna
meeting,
be
yeah.
April 28th.
I want to make sure we have enough time to get the furnace in. No, that is in conjunction with the cannabis, going over the cannabis.
Some wording of the ordinance.
It's, we're changing a one word to another word, that's all.
I don't have a copy of it.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay,
It's, I think you can correct me, I think it's just about changing the way it's worded on the receipt of applications.
We're changing the cannabis facility licensing ordinance, section 8A, I think, I can't, we're changing one word to another word, that's all. Yeah, there's really no change in the licensing ordinance itself.
Right.
But
It's clarifying terminology.
it's not even clarifying terminology, it's clarifying who is deeming the application complete. The select board will, not the town clerk. That's what we're doing.
I probably would like to read that one out there, make sure that what I was talking about was correct.
So that would be happening that would happen before our meeting.
Yeah, that's happening April 28th, it's gonna be pretty much.
Okay, that's in April, okay, the
Yeah.
other, okay, gotcha.
Following.
I think I might have.
Okay, you want to read it back?
Alright, so due to planning board bylaws and it's section, rules section 3, anytime, no agenda item will be taken up after 9 p.m. If time does not allow for the completion of the public hearings or the remaining agenda items for the 4/16 meeting, by 9 p.m., a special meeting will be held on 5/28 to continue discussion.
Okay.
5/16 meeting.
Do we have to say, do I have to make, okay, so I'm calling the special meeting. I don't need to make a motion to vote on myself, I guess. I've never called a special meeting.
No, you just need to call it, so,
Like officially, I'm calling a special meeting on the 28th for the continuance of items on the 21st if I'm able.
yeah, so
Okay.
I'll send that out to you when I have it finished.
But I just put it on record that we're gonna have
Right.
the special planning board.
But before I send it to the shop, try to be
Yep.
published, I will send it to you just to make sure it looks okay. But yeah, if that sounds okay.
You guys can tell me if you think this is the wrong avenue. I just think that we should do our,
No, I think it's the way to go. That way there we can make the full improvement because everybody will be worried about who's going to be first and second and stuff. So if we put them all in the same time slot, it's the way to do it.
Definitely.
We don't want to show prejudice or anything like that, like they had mentioned.
That's, yeah. Which was, they were kind of mentioning it, yeah. How come we're last, yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah. Good point.
The name's of hat, pick around.
as you're telling us right before you start launching into something, so we don't even catch your name.
Yeah.
So, any other business that we want to talk about or public comments, Jen?
Oh, good, thanks. Thank you.
Jesse,
Should we adjourn?
motion to adjourn? Do a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Geez, I could actually watch one show for you every day.